Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Priyo and Shoni. So in most clubs, lounges, and bars, the standard DJ setup in most DJ booths usually consists of a mixer, two decks, whether they're CDJs or turntables, and a laptop, or in some cases, a DJ controller and a laptop. Especially here in Iowa, where most establishments are BYOG, bring your own gear. But on most music festival stages, we see a standard complement of 3 or 4 CDJs and a DJ mixer with no laptop in sight. And when you listen to many of these artists on festival stages, most of how they perform can be basically done on 2 CDJs. Now, I know there are a couple artists out there that get pretty tricky when they're playing on 4 decks, dropping acapellas, doing live blends. They like to combine and rearrange song elements together. But this isn't the case with the majority of electronic music artists. And much of the way they play can be done using a controller, an all-in-one system, or a 2-deck setup with a laptop. So on the festival stage, what are the real reasons for having 3, 4, or more CDJs? The answer is because it's all pre-recorded. Thanks for watching my video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. Just kidding. Despite all the rumors that we hear perpetuated by DOI, DJs on the internet, I've done an in-depth analysis of festival performances, and I've been able to turn some of these techniques into lessons for digital DJ tips. Along with the instructors that I work for, we've done mixed deconstructions of Skrillex, Diplo, and others, which means a lot of them are doing real mixing. If you're interested in checking out these lessons, be sure to head over to Digital DJ Lab. I'll leave a link up above. And head over to the mix deconstruction section. My point being, while pre-recorded sets do sometimes happen, they're not as often as they're blown up to be. Remember when Cruella played at Ultra and everyone accused them of playing a fake set because the RCA wires weren't connected to the CDJs? Very few people understood that they were using HID mode. In fact, I'm pretty sure many DJs still don't know what HID mode is. So today, we're going to answer the question, why do festival DJs need 4 CDJs? But first, we got to put some music into those CDJs, and a really good place to get that music from is
Direct Music Service. DMS is an online database for working DJs and mix artists. It's the one-stop shop where you can get your music from for your gigs. It's a searchable, organized database with thousands of edits, remixes, and different versions of your favorite tracks from many different genres. You can now save some money and get a discount using one of these 2 coupon codes. Use the code PJMonthly and get 30% off your first month off any monthly subscription. Use the coupon code PJYearly and get 10% off your entire first year of any yearly subscription. Go to directmusicservice.com today to sign up.
In the following list of reasons, we're not going to be including the musically performative reasons to use 3, 4, or more CDJs. I think that one is obvious when people see folks like James Hype rocking on all 4 decks. This list is to explain why festival setups and some electronic music concerts utilize 3 or 4 decks, despite the performer only needing 2 at a time. So, reason number 1, redundancy and modularity. Because of the high-profile nature of the festival stage, especially when it's being filmed, broadcasted, and streamed, mistakes cannot be made during a set. Even if the artist is only playing on 2 of those CDJs, they have an additional 2 CDJs as backup. They're there just in case the primary 2 give you any trouble. A fun side note is that the CDJ 3000 is capable of being linked up to 6 units together and can be paired with a 6-channel mixer like the DJM V10. So picture this, if you're using a controller and that one controller fails, your set is compromised or it's done. In a 2-deck setup, you only have your 2 decks. If one deck fails, you better have a pre-recorded set ready to go. Of course, for DJ software users that use Rekordbox, Serato, Traktor, or Virtual DJ while using a laptop, you could always go into one deck instant doubles. It's an emergency tactic where you can control both decks with using one physical deck. But here's something to think about. What if your computer fails? The redundancy of having multiple decks beyond two, especially when you have a perfect symmetrical 4, helps manage the risks by providing backup to any unlikely but possible issues. Rather than all the music depending on one single laptop source and two critical decks, or one controller, or all-in-one system. It spreads your functional DJ gear and music source out. Speaking of laptops, this leads us to point number 2, environment. What kind of environment is a festival stage like? Unlike laptops, especially Intel-based MacBooks, standalone gear like CDJs, and I guess also all-in-one systems, are designed to operate at higher ambient temperatures. Typically, anything over 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius, a laptop used for DJing will begin to thermal throttle, resulting in glitching noises, audio dropouts, performance lag, and often spontaneous shutdowns to prevent the computer from frying itself. And not every laptop is like an XMG DJ15 that was tested in the desert at temperatures up to 105 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius. Check out my review of that laptop. Oh, by the way, remember how we said that laptop is only available in Europe? Let me know down in the comments if you want to find out how to purchase it from the United States. So the CDJ3000 is rated to be able to operate at up to 150 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's 66 degrees Celsius. That's much hotter than what most people would want to be dancing and jumping around in. But that tolerance is way above where most laptops can operate in. On top of that, while modular DJ gear is not exactly water resistant or waterproof, they can take a little bit of a sprinkle here and there without catastrophic failure of the device itself. And since most festivals are outside, the risk of this happening is a reality every production team has to face and manage. Could you imagine what would happen to a MacBook if it just got a little bit of a sprinkle from a light drizzle? Along with that, with some festivals happening in the desert, dust and sand is just as great a risk as rain. If these particles make their way into the intake vents of your laptop, they can either cause your laptop to overheat prematurely, or worse, damage the internal components or cause a short circuit, rendering the laptop to be useless. Dust and dirt particles won't stop a CDJ from functioning, and newer CDJs like the CDJ3000 are built to be resistant from dust and dirt particles. That means that despite getting a little bit of dust, sand, and dirt on the CDJs, your jog wheel will still function smoothly. Number 3, the additional CDJs aren't always used for music. There's an Armin van Buuren video out there where he was explaining how he uses the outside 2 decks. What he had was a timecode signal inside each of those decks, and he uses it to control visuals on the giant display that goes with the music. The visual control is coordinated by the engineer at the front of house. It's there so that he can control graphics, images, and animations that are on the LED walls. The idea was, in order for the graphics to sync up to the tempo of the music, Armin had to manually set it using the CDJ, because there's no way that the engineer can guess what tempo the song is placed at. My guess is it's also a great way to sync the pyro and other visual effects. Today, CDJs and DJMs can be configured to sync with software like Show Control. You can use that to sync the visuals, but also if an artist is going too loud or is just driving it into distortion, the engineer at front of house can turn him back down because they have all control of the DJ gear. Number 4, sound quality. Now, this reason is not so much to explain why you use 4 at all, but is more of an explanation of why you use CDJs at all versus using a controller. In a club, bar, or lounge, you can get away with those minor nuances in sound quality that, for the most part, don't really matter. If music is playing all night at the club, you don't really hear the noise floor when the music is shut off because you're continuously playing music all night. But on a large concert level sound system, it becomes very, very apparent. If you've ever been to a music festival, there are long moments where the gear is set up, but there's no music playing. So the mixer and everything plugged into it better not have an audible noise floor. The signal to noise ratio better be good. Also, at louder volumes, bad sound quality can be way more fatiguing to listeners than good sound quality. And at higher volumes, lack of clarity and distortion is magnified. Modular DJ gear is built for that level of performance. The DJM 900 Nexus 2 mixer, along with the flagship CDJs, was designed for loud volume playback. In fact, there is even a series called the Tour 1 that takes further steps to improve sound quality along with durability at festival environments. Today, the CDJ 3000 does real-time upscaling of the sample rate through a process of interpolation to further improve the clarity of the music playback. It's a lot like the technology that allows you to take a 1080p video and upscale it to 4K while retaining some of the sharpness. That's what interpolation is. There's no DJ software in the market that can match the level of sound quality of individual CDJs, especially the CDJ 3000s, along with the higher quality mixer. This is because of the upscale sample rate, the low noise, and the time stretch algorithm of the key lock, also known as master tempo. The reason is because unlike CDJs that are dedicated to specific functions, a laptop computer has multiple tasks to manage. A CDJ only needs to be a CDJ. If you ever get a chance to play on the CDJ 3000s, try this out. If you play standalone, where you put the flash drive on, it's doing the upscaling. You can hear the difference versus when you use it in HID mode using Rekordbox in performance mode. Let me say that again. There's a difference in the sound quality when you play on the CDJs standalone versus when you use a laptop. And I can hear it here using my studio monitors. Imagine how magnified that difference is when you scale that up to a concert level sound system. And it's further more apparent when you're comparing moderate to extreme tempo settings when the master tempo is engaged. Now, if you want the best of both worlds of the laptop and the sound quality, you can use Rekordbox's link export mode. It basically links your computer with the CDJs the same way a flash drive would, and the hardware upscaling still happens at the CDJ level. You can choose songs on your laptop, but the playback engine still happens on the CDJ hardware. It's a really great way to build your sets using the hardware that you're going to use. Finally, reason number 5, legacy. Having more than 2 decks has always been around since the early days of dance music. If you look at old photos of Larry Levan at the old Paradise Garage back in the late 70s, you would often find 3 or more turntables and a wide 19-inch rotary DJ mixer. Mind you, these big, wide rotary mixers is capable of taking up to 6 turntables. And I remind you, this was back in the 1970s. The configuration was the turntables would be up top and the mixer would sit closer to you, just around waist height, and it'll be at an angle. This was a popular configuration at dance music venues with permanently installed gear for many decades. It started during the disco era and can be seen in photos into the 2000s at clubs like Ministry of Sound in the UK. The reason behind the multiple turntables is simple. Unlike digital DJ gear today, where you can instantly preview and queue up songs in a vast library, it takes way more time to do that when you're pulling out real vinyl. And while DJs could fit more songs onto compact discs, it still took time to search and load. In fact, some electronic music artists like Armin van Buuren would burn only 1 song per CD to avoid sifting through the CD booklet in what today equates to Serato face. Prior to the release of the CDJ 2000, it made sense to have multiple decks to be able to queue up multiple songs. And many older DJs who came from the early house and even the early disco era, multiple decks was the norm. So where did the 2-deck and the mixer thing come from? Well, the 2-deck and mixer setup was embraced by early hip-hop DJs. It was turntable, mixer, turntable. This made sense if you were backspinning, scratching, or juggling the records. And it also helped you be more mobile. The mixers that the hip-hop heads used were quite different from the ones installed at the discotheques. Unlike the wide 6-channel rotary mixers, early hip-hop DJs opted for the smaller mixers that brought the turntables closer together with slider volume controls for each one of the channels, including a horizontal control slider known as the crossfader. Today, what we see on a festival stage is actually a fusion and an evolution of what started from those two different worlds in terms of setup. It's a side-by-side setup using a mixer with a crossfader, like the early hip-hop heads preferred, with 3 or more decks like the disco-era DJs. While each individual DJ, artist, performer have their own personal preferences, the 4-deck setup is approachable by most DJs. If you only prefer to play on 2 decks, you're set. If you want to play on 4 decks, you're still set. If you want to queue up multiple tracks on each deck, you can do that. If you want to scratch using the crossfader, you can do that as well. Heck, if you really wanted, you can even add a laptop to the mix and still be able to use all that gear. And you can use any DJ software you want. I've seen Diplo play on Serato before, and Skrillex used to be a Tractor user. So I hope this video clarified for you the reason why festival DJs have a 4 CDJ setup. If you got any questions, comments, or any more reasons that I didn't cover in this discussion, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. Would love to hear your thoughts, answer any questions, or learn anything new that I didn't know regarding the 4 CDJ setup at a festival stage. If you like this video, please smash that like button. And if it's your first time here and you found this video useful, please click that subscribe button and don't forget to click that little bell icon so you get a notification the next time I upload a video. We mentioned a bunch of gear in this video, and I'm going to leave you the product links down below. If you want to pick up any of this gear today, be sure to get them from Zounds. Zounds has one of the best payment plan programs that you can find online. It's one of the easiest to qualify for. I'm going to leave you the link down below in the pinned comment. Don't forget to add me on Twitch, where I like to mix and match the type of gear I use in my live stream mix shows. If you want to check out the gear that I talk about on my YouTube channel, Live in Action, be sure to add me on Twitch, where I do my shows on. All right, really appreciate you for watching. Thank you, take care, and stay healthy.